What is the China Declaration? Its website says it's about the CCP's transgressions on its people and on the world. It starts by asking a simple question. Are you dedicated to bringing freedom from the influence of the CCP to people in China and abroad? The end objective, it says, is to ensure those types of issues listed in the Declaration are resolved and never occur again. This, it says, is our strategic objective. The book is called The China Declaration. The website, thechinadeclaration.com. Please welcome Brad Good. Brad, here at Epoch Times, I work with a lot of Chinese and Chinese American people. They tell me that your Mandarin Chinese is not just fluent, that it is virtually accentless. Why did you learn the language?
I studied at Berkeley, and then I worked out in Hong Kong, doing business in China, and actually worked with the major consulting firms investing all over China. And in fact, most recently spent COVID in China.
So Brad, you survived Berkeley?
I survived Berkeley with the ability to think objectively. But then I went to the University of Chicago for 2 master's degrees, and that helped level me out.
Right. Well, one of my good friends got his PhD from University of Chicago, Tom Sowell. And by the way, Brad, when Tom Sowell went there, he was a Marxist. When he graduated, he was still a Marxist. It turned out what changed him is that he started working for the Department of Labor and realized when he was asked to do a study on the minimum wage, it hurt the very people that the proponents thought it was going to help. He went back and told them they didn't care. And that began his rethinking of his assumptions. It wasn't even University of Chicago that turned him around.
Yeah, if he had just read one of Milton Friedman's books, he would have understood the issues regarding wages. I heard Milton Friedman speak in Hong Kong, and he was approached by the Chinese government and asked who in the United States is responsible for the allocation of resources. Milton Friedman explained, it's the market.
Okay, Brad, talk to me about what's going on in China, the Chinese transgressions, and what is it that you think you can do about it?
So across the world, there's a huge number of people who have an unfavorable view of China. If you go to Australia, it's 86%, Japan, it's 87%, and in America, it's 82%. But there's nothing they can really do to have an impact. And so what we did was we wrote the China Declaration, factually detailing the transgressions of China against its own people and the world. And we asked the basic question, which you summarized eloquently, which is, do you think we should be free of the influence of the Chinese Communist Party on China and on the world? And if you answer yes, please sign. Now, what the intent is to get all the victim groups, the fentanyl groups, and then later on influencers to sign, and then to get a broader base of people across the world. And then to hold the politicians accountable, because they should agree to this fundamental thesis. And then the goal is to put pressure to develop strategic initiatives that will have a serious impact that does not exist today. Let me give you an example. Blacklisting the National Congress that is composed of 2,300 people would be a good first step in holding the CCP accountable. But we haven't done it. There's a lot of things we can do that are more significant. And I think that the policies that people try to take on are one at a time, piecemeal. They're watered down by Washington. Asia's reluctant to participate because they have a trade agreement. And so it's going to be up to the masses of people to really have an impact on China.
Well, Brad, China is spending a lot of money to influence public opinion. You know about the Penn Biden Center. Until recently, you'd open up a newspaper like the LA Times, the New York Times, and you find this big supplement of smiling Chinese people showing you what a wonderful country there is. China has given money to all sorts of universities, starting China chairs. And so they have really influenced public opinion, in part because of the money.
A huge amount of money, $1 billion over the last 10 years to universities, right?
Right.
And it's insidious. And also there's really problems with China having police, their own police in America. And, you know, this is something that the United States should really consider, closing all the American consulates and embassies in China and doing the same in America. Now, that may sound extreme, but I have one question for all your listeners, which is, What is the name of the U.S. ambassador to China? We don't even know. No one even knows the name.
Right, right.
And it's a huge cost burden. We can process visas in America. We don't need the presence there. We need to send a message to the Chinese and to the Chinese government. So it's those types of initiatives, maybe even lifting their ability to use SWIFT, which would have rather devastating consequences financially. We must get serious. 300 people a day die from fentanyl, right? It's like 300 people being shot with a gun. And the administration and even the Republicans are not really pushing aggressively at strategic initiatives that will meet a strategic goal that they haven't even defined.
Right. I know you guys are liking these giveaways, and this time it's going to be the best giveaway yet. Are you ready for this giveaway? I want to invite you to join me for a dinner at one of my favorite eating holes. That's right, you heard me right. Fine dining with yours truly. We can talk about anything you want, and I'll answer all your questions. Well, mostly all your questions. It'll be a great time for sure, so hurry up. Go to winlarry.com to sign up. I'm going to announce the winner live on February 22nd, so make sure to stay tuned. Wow. Brad, you speak Mandarin Chinese. You're able to talk to Chinese people in their own language. I know there's no real polling there in China. How do they feel about their government?
They don't talk about it. They're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid I'm going to be a spy. Now that I'm back in America, Chinese are very reluctant to even speak with me because I may be working for the American government or I may be working for the Chinese government. But fundamentally, when you get to know them, they have lived with it their entire life. They're indoctrinated. There's nothing they can do. They're not interested in any issues unless they affect them personally in their hometown. And that says a lot.
What is the end game of the CCP? What do they want to achieve?
Well, exactly what they're doing right now. They're dominating. They want to have economic, political, and social impacts everywhere. They call it the colonization of the African continent. It's extraordinary. And we cannot stop this the way everything's going. Mike Gallagher, the new head of the China committee, he's talking about increasing awareness, right? That's important. And coordination is important. I got to be honest with you, that is not enough. And all the victim groups that care about the various important causes should be really very concerned. We should be mobilizing. They have no clear strategic objective, and that's just not right. That's a sin in my book.
And Brad, look at the relationship between the NBA and Nike, for example. You have people like LeBron James. Anytime there's some sort of police shooting of a black person, he's Johnny on the spot. He's concerned about the downtrodden, but they are completely, totally in bed with the Chinese. In fact, there was an executive of one of the teams, Houston Rockets, who supported the dissidents, and LeBron James publicly called him out.
He got let go, right? So athletes will protest racial issues, but not human rights issues. And that's one of the things we're going to be doing is holding athletes and actors accountable for the hypocrisy. Someone has to. And it's got to be in one central location. And that's why all the victim groups want to join us, because we're not a threat to them. We are a bigger entity, and we can help address the issues that they can't.
Mm-hmm. Brad, there were some pretty widespread protests in China over their very severe COVID lockdowns. Did it ever get to the point, or has it gotten to the point where that might very well threaten the whole regime?
Well, they loosened the COVID policy. And so now all the deaths are the fault of the people who were protesting, right? Mm-hmm. They never, ever, ever would let the protests get to a point where it would create widespread havoc. And they were removing all the images and video and, forcing Apple to discontinue the mail drop, right? So people couldn't drop down video. And this is just standard Chinese operating procedure. Nothing's different. But it's really insidious in America to imagine. I mean, the Chinese in America can't say anything either, because remember, they have WeChat on their phone. If they're seen or if they're heard, they can be prevented from returning to China. They can harass their family members, or they can turn off their WeChat. And that would be devastating to them.
Brad, talk to me about TikTok and how insidious that is.
The elements of TikTok, I'm not that familiar with TikTok, but what I am familiar with is that the Chinese Communist Party has the authority to place people in all the companies in China in significant operational roles where they can do whatever they want. And so, the United States should simply disallow the use of TikTok because the Chinese government does look at the data. You better believe they do. And that should be done. That should be done now. I don't know why they're delaying. The big question to me when it comes to TikTok is, why is the United States of America and other Western governments, why are they delaying? It's mind-blowing. That's a big issue.
Brad, do you think China is going to invade Taiwan?
If you ask that question to a Chinese person, you know what'll happen? They laugh at you. They laugh because they already envision Taiwan as part of China, right? It's one of their 23 provinces.
Right.
It's very easy. Taiwan is like Ukraine, except much, much easier. Ukraine is 233,000 square miles in size. Taiwan is 18,000 miles in size. It's only 110 miles away from mainland China. And so there are a whole bunch of scenarios that could happen where China invades. They could blockade the whole country, surround it, right? Throw in paratroopers. What's America going to do? America's strategy for Taiwan is the same strategy for Ukraine. It didn't work. So I think it's just a matter of it's a matter of time. I mean, it could be months, it could be years. Now, I think I'm inclined to more like months. Right? Building up strategically won't solve it either.
Do you think that they are more inclined to do it because we have a president named Biden as opposed to a president named Trump, or does it matter?
Absolutely. It's also, you must remember, Taiwan, they're Chinese, right? And so China could take a different approach, which is, hey, let's just work together and be together, as come back and join us. And Taiwan's not thriving economically. And so a lot of the Taiwanese wouldn't mind being part of China. And they're already favored in China. If you're Taiwanese, you get a lot of benefits that other people don't get. So it's a very interesting situation.
So again, Brad, more likely to invade because of Biden as opposed to Trump?
Absolutely. I mean, with Trump, it would be a completely different ballgame. I think Trump would probably, now in hindsight, Trump didn't really get China. I mean, he came out with Pompeo and Robert O'Brien, and they all talked about the nature of the philosophy and how evil China was. But then they did an agreement with China that China didn't uphold, right? So what they should have realized is that never do an agreement with China, because it never, ever follows through. Didn't follow through with the WTO or the Sino-British agreement. And so when it comes to Biden, he has no idea how to deal with Taiwan. And they know it. They see the weakness when he shakes hands with President Xi, and they talk about, the environment instead of things like fentanyl. right? I mean, I was just in China, right? I was living in China. They burn trash in small villages every morning. They don't care about the environment. They consume more coal than the rest of the world combined. And you're never going to do it.
So, Brad, China is still playing America, still playing the West. Here's my last question, my friend. Are you concerned about your safety, especially when you are in China?
Well, I'm not going to go back to China anymore because I do fear for my safety. And my wife actually divorced me because she's Chinese and she wants to be able to go back to China. So it's personally impacted me, the Chinese Communist Party. I definitely won't go back. It's way too dangerous.
Brad, good. Thank you very much for talking to us. Let's keep monitoring this. Obviously, let's stay in touch.
It was an honor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. What's that the great Eldersky has in his baby brown libertarian fingers? A couple of my slippers. These are smooth, soft, the interior unbelievable. They come in different colors. And if you don't like this style, I happen to like it, you can get another style. Just call the number on your screen or go to MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. And this is the product that started it all. You guessed it, the MyPillow, or is that redundant? You see how soft this is? Great sleep. You've never slept on anything so comfortable. Call the number on your screen. And remember, Mike has over 100 sleep-related products on there. 100. And you can always go to the website, MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. This is the towel set. And these towels actually work. They absorb the water, which is the whole point, isn't it? They come in different colors. Again, call the number on your screen or go to MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. And finally, this is the Giza Dream Bedsheet. Made from the finest cotton in the world, located in Egypt, an area in Egypt called Giza, thus the name Giza Dream Bedsheets. Isn't he clever? Now, mine is in white. Why? Because I'm the black face of white supremacy, but you are not. Call the number on your screen. Order a sheet, Giza Dream Bedsheet, in the color you want. And of course, they come in different sizes because beds come in different sizes. Call the number on your screen or go to MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. That's MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. I'm Larry Elder. This has been the Larry Elder Show for Epic Times. Remember, we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.